You say you want to be a pirate. You need three things. You need a sailboat. Check. You need a pirate flag. Check. You need a cannon. What? You don't have a cannon? Can't be a pirate without a cannon. Welcome to Saltless Shakedowns. I'm going to take you through a step-by-step tutorial how to make your own pirate cannon. Follow along and subscribe. Have a great day. The first step is planning and design. So planning's been taken care of right now. We're doing a cast cannon, and it's going to be cast in bronze. But we have to design our cannon. And I could go out and purchase this software here, but that wouldn't be very piratey. So I'm looking at the free options if I can take them. So I use this software here. Now you can download this software for free. Just go to this site and download yourself a copy and install it. And I'm sure you don't quite know how to use OpenSCAD yet. So you could go to this site and read all about it, or you can get some more information from this site here. Or if you're not into reading, watch this feller's video. He'll give you a nice basic tutorial. And this is the software designed the cannon in behind me. You can see that's what I used was OpenSCAD. If you want more details about how to design that, you can check out the video I published here on my channel, and it will detail all about how I designed it, how the software works in general terms. And that takes care of step one. Let's move to step two. Step two is deciding your manufacturing process and then sourcing the materials. We've already decided our process is going to be casting. So some of the things we're going to need to complete casting is we're going to have to create a pattern. And along with a pattern, we're going to need what's called a flask. And if we watch this gentleman here, he's from Castings for the Future. Or no, it's Casting the Future. That's a creative name. And he has a great demonstration on how a flask works and how a pattern works. Let's watch. So he's talking about the cope and the drag. And that is a really tiny flask. We probably will want something a little bit larger because you just look silly out there with a little mini cannon about that big. It just wouldn't be piratey or manly at all. People would laugh at you, I'm sure. As you can see, we got a theme running here. And that's your education on how to make your cannon. It can all be discovered from YouTube. Do some simple searching and you can find out some real detailed videos on what you want to do. Like I made a pattern with a 3D printer. And if you want to make a pattern with a 3D printer, you can go to Practical 3D Prints right here and search their Foundry patterns, and he'll show you all the prints that he's made for his little Foundry, and he's made them with his 3D printer. Now, we just showed you a video on a flask and how it's used. You want to make your own flask. You don't want to buy one. They're pretty darn expensive. So you can go to the old iron shop here, and this feller will show you how to make a snap flask. And that's a fancy flask. And he does it with wood, and he gets the pins. He uses bolts, and he grinds them down and makes his own pins. Very informative. But there's other videos out there as well that'll demonstrate how to make a flask. The next step, though, is you're going to need a muller to mix up that sand. And the sand is either green sand or Petrobond. Now, green sand is water-based, and it uses clays as a binder. But Petrobond is oil-based. And that oil base is makes a stronger mold and is a lot more resistant to what we call
what is that? That's when it gets so hot it burns into the sand and it creates like a really textured surface. You don't want that on your cannon. That wouldn't be very piratey to have a funny looking textured cannon. So we use Petrobond, but Petrobond and for green sand, you got to mix it up to make it smooth so you can have that really nice finish. And you're going to need a muller. And mullers are real expensive. They can be $25,000, but you can make your own muller with a Harbor Freight muller. Uh, I'm sorry, a Harbor Freight cement mixer that you convert into a muller. And if you go to Lundgren Bronze, he has a great video that we followed to make our own muller. You can see us using it right here. It looks pretty fancy, I think. Lulu's did a very good job on his construction method. So that is pretty piratey in my book. The final piece of the puzzle is a furnace, a foundry furnace to melt your metal in. And there's plenty of videos out there, believe me, where you can make your own. But once you go down that route, you're going to have some extra cost in the container, which is called a crucible, and that's going to be quite pricey. For the same price as a foundry crucible, you can buy one of these Amazon packages. They're about $200, $300, and they should have enough capacity to pour your cannon. They had enough capacity to pour our 16 pounder. So we were quite pleased with that solution. And they run on propane. And shoot, everybody's got a propane tank. That's what they barbecue their ribs with in the summertime. So there you go. You didn't even have to buy a different fuel source. And after all these components are collected and put together, we can move to the next step, which is step 3.
Okay, this is exciting. It's the third phase, which is pouring days. So we're at step 3. We're heating up the metal. Got to start early. It takes quite a few hours. I think it was 6 to 8 hours for us to get all the metal heated up. But as you can see here, my pattern, I painted it white, and I did that so it wouldn't, the sand wouldn't stick to the pattern. And right in this moment, I'm using this parting dust. Now, this is special parting dust made for foundries, but you can use talc powder or graphite. And take a notice at the flask that I produce. It is hinged, and it's hinged only on one side, and there's a reason for it. I'll tell you about that later. But right now, let's explain that little round thing with the screen in it. That's called a riddle, and that is to push the sand through to get rid of all the clumps. Makes the first riddle I use is extremely fine, and I want to do the whole part with the fine riddle first, because that's when it's compressed, it's going to create the best finish. Now, if you can't do the whole thing with this, it would take forever. So if you look to the side there, I have a second riddle. That one's a little more coarse. You still have to get rid of the clumps, but it doesn't have to be fine, because now you're not working as much for the finishes, except filling all the voids when you start packing it down. If you notice, I'm pushing down with my fists and my hands, and that's to compress the sand around the pattern to give me as good a finish as possible, because we don't want any burn-in, and that's where there's little voids in the sand, and the brass will go in there, and it'll make it extremely rough and hard to clean. As I'm filling the mold here, we get to the point where I use my mallet. I believe there's a name for that, but you got to use the pointy end around the side. You can use anything, this just makes it a little easier, because of that pointy end. Make sure the sides around the flask are packed extremely tight. Then I'll flip it over, and I'll use that round side to do my general packing on the mallet. Use that piece of iron there to scrape off the top layer, because you want it totally flat when you put a board on the bottom of it, because we have to flip the mold over, and that board can't have any voids in there, because obviously the sand could sink into those voids and it'll drop out from the pattern, and it'll make cleanup extremely difficult or even ruin the part. Now it's lifting time, and I started lifting this on my own. As you can see, my God, I'm out of shape. It was heavy. That was probably, I don't know. I think the biggest problems were my pins were slightly bent out, and it created additional force lifting, because it doesn't seem like it should be that heavy, but I had to require the assistance of my brother. And now I flipped the top of the mold over. Obviously, because of the way I lifted it, I had what they call tear out, and that's where the sand, you can see it on the pattern, it didn't come smoothly up with the mold. It tore up, and of course that's going to create voids, and metal will fill that area, and once again it'll make cleanup a bear. So I'm using a slick right there to fix as many of those voids as I possibly can, hopefully to pay dividends in the future when I go clean this part up. Now I'm spraying it off with air. All you need is some compressed air. I've seen other people do it with little handheld air things, but I'd never do that. That would take forever. I'm using a squirt bottle with an alcohol and graphite mixture, and I did this to create some more resistance to that hot metal when it goes in there, so it won't burn into the sand, and hopefully create a nicer finish. My success rate on that was hit or miss. I think I let it sit too long, because I used it making the course as well. So now you flip the mold over, and we're basically repeating the process for the next side. Now after it's all the cope and the drag, and the drag is the bottom part of the mold. You got the drag, the pattern, and the cope. So you lift the cope up, clean it up, you lift the pattern off, then you clean up the drag, and then you put it all back together. And right now, or my brother is tending to the pot. You got to take a skimmer and skim off when the metal melts, there'll be, I think it's called slag. It'll rise to the surface. You don't want to pour that inside your mold, because it's just garbage that was impurities inside the metal. So you got to skim all that off till the surface of the metal is nice and clean. And keep in mind, the brass, once it's heated up like this, it oxidizes rapidly. So you don't want to sit there and dilly-dally, because your brass is literally evaporating. It creates a glass surface, but that's for production stuff. But right now, as you can see, we had to stand the mold upright. And that's the reason for that, is because when you got the molten metal and it's hot, when it starts to cool, it shrinks, and it pulls from the metal on the top, and it will shrink down and compress. If we laid that cannon flat and poured it, the whole top of the cannon would shrink down into itself. So we tipped the mold up on top, flipped my flask opening up, and we poured it from top down, and that way when it shrinks inside of the cannon and makes the best mold. As you can see, there's a little bit of fire. We're doing this indoors. I recommend you probably want to do it outdoor, but that's your call. It's not a big deal, the fire. It's not scary or anything, but you do have to be careful, because if you notice all the sand we put around the mold, and that's in case there's any spillage, because concrete floors, when a hot metal like that hits the concrete, the moisture in the concrete will cause it to explode and spall, and it's really dangerous. So always coat your floors with sand in case you have any spillage if you're pouring on concrete. Now it's the waiting game. We get to sit around for a couple hours and chit-chat and wait for that metal to harden up before we actually have a cannon. And after we sit around and wait, it's probably 2 hours. Now it's shakeout time. Now you see me, I'm separating the sand out, because there's good sand and there's bad sand. We want to reclaim the sand. That's the beauty of Petrobond, is if you reclaim it, you can throw it back in that muller you made, and reuse that sand for another project. And we did have another project. We made 2 cannons. Surprise, surprise. So here we are gingerly taking the sand off the cannon, and it's not an issue. It's already hardened and everything. It's not going to leak out. And I'm scooping it out, and then what we want to do is speed up our process by dipping that cannon in a bucket of water. Cannon in the quench bucket. And we're doing that so we can cut the gating off and start the cleanup process. And that is where we're going to end this one, because now it's cleanup time.
So now that we've finished step 3 in the pouring, you think it's all over and it's all excited, but actually it's the hardest part, step 4. And that's finishing. And if you have to do any machining, that's going to be taken care of in this step. Unfortunately, drilling the bore of the cannon, I couldn't source the equipment for that. It is way too expensive. So I hired that one out. And so here you can see us cleaning up the rough castings. But after that, it's a whole lot of sanding and then off to the machinist.
Here it is. We're ready to cut it apart. It is stinky.
You might be a little confused by this chunk of video because that don't look like a cannon. But if you watch my earlier reference video, you'll notice we made brackets to go with the cannon. And that's to hold the cannon in, and they mount right on the winch handle of my sailboat. And that's what my brother Lewis is attempting quite poorly to cut apart right now. But I assure you, we did the same process for the cannon. As you can see, there's a lot of pieces and parts you gotta cut off the gating, and that's where the metal flows and goes into the part.
I've done a rough clean on the bracket. What do y'all think? And if you picture, the cannon goes in the middle, right? So there's still a lot of cleanup left to do before it goes to the machine shop and gets machined.
Now, after the rough cleanup, we ain't done. We just got to do a lot more sanding. And it's a lot of sanding. And then off to the machinist it goes. And they're going to drill the bore. And they charge me a whopping $60 per cannon. But now that we're done with step 4, we're moving to step 5. Can you believe it? We reached step 5. And step 5 is enjoying your cannon. We're going to enjoy our cannon by practicing some gunnery. Sit back and enjoy.
Okay, folks, the time has finally come. The cannon project started, I went and checked, 2022 on Christmas Day. And I bought this little cannon here. This, where is it? This little guy. And I thought, you know, I'm going to make my own cannon. And there's the product of my hard work right there. I've got the black cannon. Let me see if I can show you. It's hard to film with this. And that's done with a patina. My brother Lewis did that. And it's got a little pirate on the top with steering a ship. And then I have the brass cannon, and that one's polished brass. Bango, bango. And those are what we call boom booms, baby.
Okay,
Here's the cannon firing for the boat. Boom booms, baby. Boom booms.
Wow.
No secondary explosions on that one.
No.
Well, that was an exciting journey. I certainly enjoyed the project, spending that quality time with my brother and making myself this beautiful cannon. As you can see, it's a little larger than the ones you can purchase retail, uh, more piratey, but we're not done yet. I'm just wanting to know, what cannon do you prefer? Do you like the brass cannon or do you like the black cannon? Vote down below. And if you made it this far, for God's sakes, subscribe and hit the bell and let me know you appreciate my videos. And if you want one of these cannons, well, I got a standing offer out for any. I prefer a YouTube sailing channel, but if you would want to trade a cannon for some sporty time on your boat, I'm looking to do I don't know, an extended journey in the ocean. I'm looking at you, James from Zigaro, maybe even Plucky. Your boat ain't ready yet, but I sure would enjoy that. But I hope you enjoyed my video. So, congratulations on your journey. You've taken the first step to becoming a true Great Lakes pirate. Enjoy and have a great day.